One of the reasons many people don't want to start trying jiu-jitsu is because they're worried that they are not in shape enough to do jiu-jitsu. Now, I find this very frustrating as an instructor to hear, because I feel like it is either a misconception, which I am more empathetic to, or it's an excuse not to do it. Now, if it's an excuse, that's okay. That's a priority. That means that doing jiu-jitsu is not a priority for you, and you're just trying to find a reason not to do it because you're out of shape, and that's okay. And then if they just are not understanding the application of jiu-jitsu and how jiu-jitsu will get you in shape and you don't have to be in shape to do jiu-jitsu, then I'm empathetic, and that's why I created this video, to help people understand a little better about how they can change their mindset. Okay, so you do not need to be in good shape at all to do jiu-jitsu. In fact, jiu-jitsu will get you in shape. And the great thing about jiu-jitsu is that it's a different way to get in shape. And many people have lost a lot, that I've known in my time as an instructor, as a training partner. I've seen multiple people lose tons of weight and get in shape and become confident and change their life and live a different lifestyle because of jiu-jitsu. And it's been beautiful to see and amazing. You know, jiu-jitsu helps people build discipline, helps them to understand their body, helps them to move their body and to make decisions under pressure. And it's amazing the discipline that you can gather through jiu-jitsu, and this discipline can carry on to other aspects of your life, especially diet and exercise. So if you're out of shape and you're scared to start jiu-jitsu, that's okay. I can understand the fear. You know, when you see jiu-jitsu, oftentimes you see people that are in good shape and they're rolling and they're doing sparring and they're doing round after round, and you think, wow, that person is strong, or wow, that person is flexible, they're fast, like I'll never be like that. Now, I highly recommend to give yourself a break. Take a deep breath and take it one day at a time, one class at a time, because the first class is usually the most important. That's the hardest one, is booking the free trial, getting in the doors, trying something new, getting on the mat, and taking the class. Now, that being said, if fitness is one of your main goals and one of your main concerns, I would definitely, you know, when you book a trial class, put that in the notes. Say, hey, I feel like I'm out of shape. I'm nervous to start jiu-jitsu. I'm concerned that I'm gonna fall behind the class because of my cardio or endurance. And I want a plan of action that's going to help me to get in shape while doing jiu-jitsu. And that will be great for the instructors to know prior, because when they meet you, they can have that discussion and say, hey, I understand that your concerns about not being in shape for jiu-jitsu. That's fine. That's a very common misconception, and we're here to help you. And how can we do that? One way is make sure that you're going to the correct classes. Now, you can go to any class, but some classes might be very discouraging if you're not in shape. For example, if you go to classes like the marathon rules, where people, they just spar round after round after round. I mean, that's oftentimes people are sparring for 30 minutes, an hour, hour and a half, nonstop. And not only do you have to be in good shape to do that, but you also have to have good technique, because what I've noticed is that as your technique gets better, you end up having a lot more endurance and can roll longer rounds and for longer periods, because you can conserve your energy. You know when and when not to use a lot of power, a lot of strength, a lot of speed. You can manage yourself through techniques. Now, if I have a good technique, it requires me to use less power, less force, and which means I can last a longer time. So I've noticed that as a practitioner who's been practicing for over 20 years, that in order for me to get the same workout that I did when I was a white belt, I have to train much longer or increase the intensity, because I have stronger technique and I don't have to use as much power or force as I used to. So that being said, if you're going to a class where people are rolling nonstop, then you're probably going to get gassed out the first round, and you're going to see other people sparring, and that might be discouraging and might not motivate you to come back. So have a discussion with your instructor as to what classes are going to be most beneficial to you. Which classes can you go at your own pace and still feel part of the team? Okay, and now for us, or for many people, the fundamentals class is usually going to be that class, because that's where you'll typically have a little warm-up, whether it's partner drills or solo drills, and then you'll go over certain techniques, and then you'll have opportunities to have some sparring within those techniques, which tends to be anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes depending on the class. Now this is a lot less than sparring for over an hour if you came to like an open mat or a marathon roll class. So first, knowing what class to attend is going to be very, very important. Having the discussion with your instructors and your training partners about your concerns, like in order for us to help somebody with their problem or with something they want to fix, they need to first be open to it. So if you hide your fears and hide your concerns to yourself about being out of shape, then nobody's going to be able to help you. Like at Daruma Dojo, like I want an atmosphere and a culture where everyone wants to help everybody, because, I didn't become a black belt without people helping me. I needed training partners and instructors and higher belts and even lower belts that can help me. And so I want to also help those around me, and I want people around me that are willing to help. So come to the class willing to discuss your concerns with your training partners, with your instructor, and go to the correct classes. So that's, I think, a great starting point. And now when you come to the classes, go at your own pace. You know your body better than anybody else. I have a lot of experience coaching, and I have a lot of experience in physical activity, in sports beyond jiu-jitsu. So I can see a lot of the early signs, but you know your body better than anybody else. So if you're doing a warm-up and a movement becomes too much for you, stop, slow it down. If we're doing, let's just say, for example, you're doing push-ups. Now, if you get exhausted and you can't do a push-up, then maybe instead of doing a push-up, you go to your knees and do a push-up from the knees. Or maybe you just hold the plank, right? If you're running around, I remember we used to have some people in our class that were extremely overweight, and we would do running around the mats as part of the warm-up at calisthenics, and they just couldn't run, they were winded. And so instead of, their natural thing to do is stop and catch their breath and put their hands on their knees. But my professor would always tell them, don't stop, catch your breath while moving. So it's better to move than to stop. So if people are running, you walk. If people are walking, you do high knees in place. There's always something that can be modified, especially if you become creative and you have an instructor and training partners that are willing to help you. Same thing goes when there's portions of the class, like, during the technique portions, you don't have to do 10 to 20 repetitions. Right? Even just 2 good repetitions can be very, very beneficial, especially when concentrated and with intent behind them. So, and you don't have to do them quick and speed. And so sometimes just doing the technique allows us opportunity to learn our body and how to move it, how to move our hips, how to orient our body when we're on the ground, especially on the bottom, because we're so used to being oriented on our feet and walking and using our hands that when we go and start doing jiu-jitsu and we're on the ground, especially on the bottom, and we're using our legs a lot, we start to get really almost confused because we're not used to it. So it takes a while to orient ourselves on the ground, from the bottom, from the top. It's just a lot different than being on our feet. And so sometimes just doing the repetitions, take it slow, take it easy, one step at a time, ask questions. There's no rush. This is a great opportunity for you to move your body at a very, very low intensity and controlled pace. Okay, and then the last part of the class tends to be the positional sparring or the rolling portion. Now we have a dojo called roll, rest, or repetitions. So if after a round you're dead tired, it's okay to take a break. Next round, take a break. Or even better is find a willing partner, or talk to the instructor to help you find a willing partner for you to, instead of rolling and overexerting yourself, then you can find a partner that's willing to work on some techniques and do some repetitions at, again, a slow and controlled pace. You know, and then maybe after one round of sparring, you have to do some repetitions and you have to take a rest round for you to catch your breath, get your wits behind you, and then maybe do another round. And that is 100% okay. I always tell people, like, that's great. You did a round, now you take a rest round, you do some repetitions, and maybe do another round. So today you did 2 rounds, and you took 2 rest rounds, so 2 out of 4. And then maybe after a couple of classes, you're able to do 3, and then eventually you're able to do all the rounds, but you can't do them all on the first day. It might take a week or 2 or longer for you to build the stamina, build the understanding of your body so that you can gradually build up the endurance and build up the strength and cardio. It's just like any kind of exercise. It doesn't happen. You don't get on a bench press and bench 300 pounds on your day 1, right? You start with a bar, and then you progressively overload on a consistent basis. Before you know it, you're benching 200 and plus, right? Everyone's goals are different. Some are 300, 400, some are 120. But the point being, you're gonna start doing a lot more if you just stay consistent and keep coming to class. And before you know it, you look back on day 1 and you're on day 365 and you're like, wow, I've lost 30 pounds. Now I'm not only able to do the fundamentals classes, I'm going to some of the open mats, I'm going to some of the marathon rules, I'm sparring 30 minutes to an hour straight. And it all starts from day 1, and it all starts with slow bits and pieces, one step at a time. So one thing that I heard that Carlson Gracie said this, and I love this saying because in the beginning in Jiu-Jitsu, we get really excited and we want to, man, it's so much fun, we're getting in shape, we're exerting our bodies, you know, but it can be easy to overdo it. And sometimes if we overdo it, we become too tired and too fatigued and too sore, and the next day we can't train, or we don't want to train because of how we feel. So what Carlson Gracie supposedly said is, don't train too hard today where you can't come back and train tomorrow. Okay, so the point being, we need to, as we start training and learning about our bodies and learning our capabilities and what we can and can't do and what is too much, we start to understand, okay, I'm at my limit for today. I think it's now for me to take a break, to take a rest round, to stretch, to observe other people, and then call it quits for today so that I can come back tomorrow. Because if you come 6 days a week opposed to 3 days a week, you're gonna get twice as good, twice as fast. So that, I think, is the main thing, is consistency, you know, having communication with your instructors and your training partners about your concerns, coming to the correct classes, going very slow in the beginning, controlled pace, knowing that it's okay. Everyone starts off at a different point, and the main thing is getting in the dojo and trying a class, coming back to the next class, and before you know it, like, it starts to change our lifestyle. It starts to change our discipline. And after some time, you start noticing, oh, you know what? I'd rather eat healthier than eat junk food because I'm gonna go and train jiu-jitsu today. I don't wanna have a junk food lunch and then train in the evening because I'm gonna have low energy. Or I'm gonna get some better rest tonight. I'm not gonna stay up till 3 a.m. because I wanna train tomorrow at 11. And your priorities in life start to change. And it's a beautiful thing, because once you gain this discipline from jiu-jitsu, you can put it towards anything. I mean, my professor always says, if you are a black belt in jiu-jitsu, you become a black belt in life. And what he meant by that is to earn a black belt in jiu-jitsu takes a lot of focus, a lot of determination, a lot of discipline. And if you can accomplish that, you can accomplish anything. You learn how to learn and how to be diligent and how to be consistent. And you take these lessons and you can apply it to anything. And I believe that 100%. I felt like Jiu-Jitsu has given me the confidence and the discipline and the know-how to apply these principles to other aspects of my life. And it's been, I owe so much to Jiu-Jitsu, and it's been a wonderful lifestyle that I have, and I'm so happy to share it with others and to see other people get in shape and make it part of their life too. So remember, you do not have to be in shape to start Jiu-Jitsu. Jiu-Jitsu is a wonderful way to stay in shape. You're gonna have teammates that are gonna be there to help motivate you, and you're not even gonna know you're having a workout sometimes because you're so engaged with the process, you're so engaged with the techniques and with, like, quite literally, you're just trying not to die in the beginning when people are trying to smother you or people are trying to pass your guard, or you have these tasks and goal at hand while getting exercise. I tell you what, it beats going on the treadmill and running like a hamster while you watch TV on your phone on YouTube. Trust me, Jiu-Jitsu is a great way to stay in shape, and you don't have to be in shape before you get there. Just show up and try to follow some of these advice that I give, and I hope it helps you out. Bye.